What's going on, y'all? It's your man Pristine back with another video. Welcome to the Clash of Two Titans. Here to my left, I've got the LG V40. Here to my right, I've got the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Now, I'm just going to compare these two devices. These devices are two of the top devices that money can buy right now. And so, you know, when it comes down to which one you choose, that's a tough one. It's a matter of preference. A lot of them, or both of these devices, do a lot of things very similarly, and there are their differences. So stay tuned and just rock with me, and hopefully I can answer any questions that you guys may have regarding these two devices if you, in fact, are going back and forth between the V40 or the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Now, starting off, Let's talk about the price really quickly. Now, the Note 9, it's been out for a little bit longer. When it first came out, it was $999. Start off at $1,000 for the 128 gigabyte version, and then there's a 512 gigabyte variant that starts off at $1,249.99. Now, I know that you can catch some sales. I think if I remember correctly, I saw a sale at Best Buy right now for the Note 9 that's going for $799. Now, I'm not sure if that's the unlocked variant or if that is one of the carrier-based variants. And I know that at Best Buy, they provide carrier service for Sprint, Verizon, and AT&T. Strangely, not T-Mobile. I'm not sure exactly what that's about. And then I know that for a fact that the V30 right now, you can get $150 off at Verizon if you choose to get the V40 and set up installment plans. And what Verizon will do is will give you a monthly bill credit over a course of 24 months. And so that when you're done paying off the V40, then you will have paid $150 less. Now, the full retail price for the V40 is $949.99. I mean, so you're talking about two high-priced devices. Full retail for the Note 9, $1,000. Full retail for the V40, $950, and with the taxes and everything for the V40, that's going to take you a little over $1,000 right there. You know what I mean? So we just might as well just say $1,000 for both of these devices. Now, one of the things that I've been curious to see with both of these devices is I wanted to see how well LG was able to close the gap, because I feel as though they do not get the recognition that I feel as though they deserve, and oftentimes it seems as though they get overshadowed by Samsung, by Apple, and frankly other OEMs that are out there lately as well. Xiaomi, OnePlus. So I'm curious to see, and I'm curious to know what you guys' opinion is as well, to see if you guys feel as though LG with the V40 here, if they've closed the gap a little bit between this thing between them and Samsung. Now, me personally, I feel like LG devices have always been right there on par with what Samsung and Apple is doing, but that doesn't really seem to reflect the thought process of the masses, right? And so I'm curious to know what you guys think with what you're going to see in this video here, if you feel as though LG is in fact on par, if not superseding what Samsung is doing here with the Note 9, or if you think that they're still somewhat lacking. Maybe they're there, they're knocking on the door, but they just haven't been able to come through the door yet, if you will, figuratively speaking. All right, now, so as far as the displays here, of course, the Samsung, a lot of people feel as though Samsung has the best displays ever on any device, and that's hard to argue with them because they have some really, really good displays. Now, the Samsung here, we've got a 6.4-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED display. Okay, Super AMOLED Infinity display, 2960 by 1440 pixels, PPI density of 516. Now, here on the LG V40, we too, even though it is a little smaller, as you can see, there's a little bit of a height advantage, very slight, that the Note 9 has over the LG V40, but the LG V40 is too also rocking a 6.4-inch POLED display at 1440 by 3120 pixels, and we've got a PPI pixel density of 537, so it's actually a little bit higher than the pixel density is a little bit higher on the V40 than it is on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. And so AMOLED, POLED. What does that tell me? That these are two excellent displays, two top-notch displays, two displays that you are definitely going to want to watch content on. You're not going to go wrong with watching content on any one of these displays here. Okay, now, as far as the internal specs, the guts, I know that the Note 9 here, they have the Snapdragon 845 processor, 6 gigs of RAM. Again, they're starting off with 128 gigs of onboard storage, and they got the other 512 gigabyte storage, and that can be expanded up to 2 terabytes. Now, the V40 here is housed with 64 gigs of internal storage, but it can be expanded up to 256 gigs. Okay, so you know, you have the ability to memory expand, and I believe that the two variants that the LG comes in is the 64 and 128. I don't believe there is a higher gigabyte version for storage with the LG V40. So I feel like that's one where Samsung can definitely one up the V40 if you're concerned with that type of thing. Now, 64 gigs for a lot of people is plenty. 128 gigs for some people is plenty, or having the ability to expand the storage up to 256 is plenty as opposed to 2 terabytes. But if you need 2 terabytes, then obviously the Note 9 is going to be the phone that you're going to want to go with. All right. Now, the LG V40 2 is rocking the latest 2018 specifications. We also have the Snapdragon 845 processor, 6 gigs of RAM as opposed to 4. I know that people were kind of knocking the LG G7 because they were like, why are they still only rocking with 4 gigabytes of RAM as opposed to 6 or 8, which seems to be the trending thing that's going on in the mobile world, or the mobile phone industry right now, especially with a lot of the top-end flagship devices. And so rather than 4 gigs on the V40 here, LG decided to up it a couple, and match what a lot of other OEMs are doing in the Android space and up it up to 6 gigabytes of RAM. So Snapdragon 845 processor, 6 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage that can be expanded up to 256 gigs. Okay, so I mean, they're very similar in those respective classes. Okay, now Apple tends to do things a tad bit differently because, interestingly enough, even though this is the 10R, you know, it's got 3 gigabytes of RAM, and the 10S and the 10S Max only have 4 gigabytes of RAM. And according to the benchmark scores, both of these devices, whether it be the 10R or the 10S or the 10S Max, is getting with these two devices right here, even though there is a significant difference in the amount of gigabytes as far as the RAM is concerned that are in these two devices. And so that just has a lot to do with Apple's chips, that A12 Bionic chip versus the Snapdragon 845s. Not to say that the 45s aren't powerful processors, but it's just something about what Apple is doing with their chips. Their phones are able to run very smooth, buttery smooth experience, powerful devices, gaming, and they're able to accomplish this all with much less gigabyte of RAM than a lot of Android phones utilize. That is very interesting to me. Okay, but nonetheless, in the Android space, these are two of the top devices that you can get your hands on right now. Now, the build quality. We've got Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on both of these devices, on the front and the back. Okay, Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back. That had to be done to enable both of these devices to have wireless charging, which they both do. So both of these devices are key enabled, or Qi enabled, however you pronounce it. And so that is definitely a plus. Now, if you, I gotta say, the V40 is, in my personal opinion, significantly lighter than the Note 9. Now, these are two big devices, right? But you can see, if you put the phones together, they're about the same as far as the width. But if you can see that right there, ladies and gentlemen, obviously the Note 9 is a tad bit taller. And I think one of the reasons for that is because the Note, it doesn't have a notch. You see the notch here at the top of the V40, and so I feel like they were able to fit the camera sensors and everything into that notch, and so they can keep the top very slim, as opposed to at the top of the Note 9, that's where all the sensors are. And so that is why that is there. There is no notch. Now, some of you guys, again, If you're not a fan of the notch, then hey, the Note 9 probably would be the choice for you if you were deciding between these two phones. But be mindful, on the V40, you are able to do away with the notch under the settings. And so you're able to just have a clean, just like the Note 9 looks here at the top, it'll look just like that on the V40 if that's something that you want to do. So be mindful, you do have that technology on the LG V40. But again, as far as the dimensions, they're about the same as far as width. Length, obviously, the Note 9 is a tad bit taller, just a hair taller than the V40. Both of these devices feel very good in the hand. They're very narrow devices. They're very thin. And so it's like they've been stretched vertically and not width-wise. I mean, and so that makes for a very comfortable hold. They're both rounded around the corners from the back to the front. And so it's very easy to hold these devices and navigate them in the hand, in spite of the fact that they're pretty big devices. But again, I feel like the V40 is going to give you the most comfort because, again, it's lighter. And it just feels really good overall in the hand. They both do. But I mean, if you're the type that likes to travel light, I feel like the Note 9 will begin to feel more cumbersome after a long period of time of carrying it on you, or even just holding in your hand versus the V40, just because of how light it is. I mean, the V40 actually feels like a featherweight. I mean, you know, both of these phones, I mean, they're lightweight in the sense that they're phones, but the Note 9 is significantly heavier than the LG V40. And so it's interesting the V40 is able to cram everything inside of it that it is, but yet it be so light. I mean, you would think that the phone would be heavier than what it looks like, especially considering how big it is. But, you know, it's pretty amazing that the phone is just so lightweight, very easy to wield and hold. Now, performance. As I mentioned, Snapdragon 845 processor on both devices, 6 gigs of RAM on both devices. What does that mean? That means that both of these phones are just buttery smooth. Now, both of these devices, they both are from Verizon, and I get terrible service at Verizon at my house, and so they're both connected to Wi-Fi. So I'm just going to run some tests, see, you know what I'm saying, how quickly they're able to open applications, see if there's a significant difference of, you know, from one over the other, given the fact that they do have the same specs. They shouldn't, but sometimes these things do happen. All right, so let's just go ahead and close everything out. Okay, just to ensure that nothing has been opened. Now let's go ahead and open up that Bible app. Looked like it did it at the same time. Maybe the V40 a second or a half a second before the Note 9. I mean, no big deal, right? No big deal. Okay. Let's go to my credit union. Okay, so we saw the V40 tackled that one a little quicker. Maybe by, like I said, a half a second or like a second before the Note 9. Now, mind you, these phones both have the same specs, the exact same specs. Snapdragon 845 processors, 6 gigs of RAM. Okay, GPU is 630 on both of these devices. All right. Now let's go to Spotify. Say they both opened at the same time. Okay, so there shouldn't be too much of a noticeable difference between both of these devices, given the fact that they do have the same specs. Now let's go to YouTube. Okay, you see that? It just seems like for whatever reason the V40 is just getting there just a hair quicker than the Note 9. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, I don't think that that's anything that should be a determining factor. You know what I mean? Because the fact is, both of these devices are opening these applications extremely quick, buttery smooth. And as you'll see, flipping through these, what's Lou talking about? I'm quitting computers. All right, Lou, I'm going to check you out, boss. My man Jay Will here got a poll. Do you have the iPhone XR? I do. I'll just hit that on both. 90% said no, 10% said yes. All right, well, I'm a part of that 10%, and I'm glad that I am, because the XR is a magnificent device, and it is definitely the iPhone that I would recommend for any of you that are out there in the market for an iPhone right now. All right, let's see. Let's go shopping real quick. Let's go to Best Buy. And you see that just the V40 again, it just got to it just a hair quicker than the Note 9. All right. And, I mean, the Note 9, I mean, maybe some would say, oh, well, it's been out a little longer. You've been using it. I mean, yeah, I've used the Note 9, but I go through so many devices, ladies and gentlemen. My Note 9 has been sitting in my little drawer for a while. You know what I mean? I mean, because I get so many different devices interchanging in and out of my hands. And so I haven't had I haven't utilized my Note 9 like you would think, given the fact that I've had it pretty much since launch date. So I can't sit here and say that, oh, well, that's attributed to, where, and I can see if I've been using the device heavy every day. The fact is I have not. This thing has been sitting in my drawer for weeks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because the V40 is a little newer. But like I said, I mean, both phones have the exact same specifications. But for whatever reason, it just seems as though the V40 is able to open these applications just a hair quicker. Just a hair quicker. Again, that shouldn't be a determining factor because both of these devices perform buttery smooth. As you can see here, when you swipe hard to the right, you bring up App Flash. And as you can see, scrolling through App Flash, a lot of news and information and things that you can customize so that you can get, stay up to date on a lot of stuff that you want to stay up to date on. And then when you swipe hard to the right on the Note 9, you bring up Bixby. And Bixby is kind of the same thing. You can customize it to do, give you information that you want. I love the fact that you have a heart rate sensor on here, so it will track your heart rate and check your oxygen saturation. I think that if I'm mistaken, it can now do your blood pressure or something like that. Something very. Okay, y'all, my bad. I hit something on the blink feed and I heard some sound coming from the phone, but I'm like, what in the hell is that coming from? And it was a video that was in blink feed, not blink feed. This isn't HTC, but in App Flash. A video was playing and had to find out what that was and had to dead that. All right. Now, as I was talking about, hard swipe to the right brings up Bixby. And same thing. I mean, you can customize it to provide you with a lot of news and information, that you want it to. And so it's very usable in my personal opinion. You know what I mean? Now, speaking of these two sources of information, both of these devices, if you look to the left of them, there's a button here, which is your Google Assistant button, and that is just a dedicated Google Assistant button that cannot be remapped. Okay, and as you can see, as I said, Google, it also opened up on the Note 9, but the Note 9 has a dedicated button there as well, and that is just specifically for Bixby. Now, the good thing about the Bixby button is it can be turned off. It can't necessarily be remapped at this point to have some other function besides opening up the Bixby app. But if you want to turn it off just to alleviate accidental presses and launching Bixby, then you have the ability to do that. Now, on the LG V40, you cannot do that at this particular point. And I know that maybe that's something that can be pushed out with a software update to give us that ability to either turn off the assistant or just to also give us the ability to remap it to do something else with the press of the button. But nonetheless, that's what it is right now. So we have a dedicated Google Assistant button on the V40, a dedicated Bixby button on the Note 9. Now the Note 9, as I mentioned, the Bixby button, that can be disabled. But the dedicated, Assistant button on the V40 cannot be disabled at this particular point in time. All right, now, performance, stellar on both of these devices. Absolutely stunning. All right, now the cameras. Now this is where things start to get a little interesting between these two cameras, because I feel as well as though these are two of the top cameras in the biz right now, right? In the biz. But when you're talking about the LG V40, be mindful that LG V stands for video. The video options that you are being provided with on the V40 is a lot, and if you are a content creator, then you definitely you're going to want what the V40 is offering here as opposed to what is being offered on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Now, the Note 9 has tremendous, remarkable cameras on the front and back, but you're just able to do a little bit more from a content creation standpoint on the LG V40. But as far as the overall quality, as far as photos, photography, videography, I mean, you're going to get remarkable results from both of these devices. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about, I am going to put in, just a couple of photos for you guys to take a look at real quick so you guys can check out the quality for yourselves. And then just let me know down in the comments what you think about what you see in comparison with these two devices and the camera quality. All right, I'll be right back with you. All right, y'all, so we back in. Hope you guys enjoyed those photos that I displayed for you guys, and let me know which one of those you guys would prefer. I know that they both take some really good pictures, but I kind of noticed that the Samsung device, it kind of veered more towards the warm side of things. Things had more of a yellowish hue to it, a yellowish tint to it. Things appear to be much more colorful in the Samsung pictures, which seems that, things were just overexposed a bit, as opposed to the LG, which kind of seems like it had more of a cooler, like a bluish tint to it, and things appeared to look a little bit more natural, just in my personal opinion. Let me know, if your thought process is similar to mine, or if you feel like just the Samsung camera is just completely destroying the V40, or let me know if you feel like the V40 is just destroying the Note 9. I mean, given what you saw. Now, but either way, I feel like both of these phones have top-notch cameras. You can't really go wrong with either one of them. But I just feel like LG, to me, it's offering more. And, as far as like the, what you're able to do with the camera, but then you also can't forget too, those wide angle functions on the camera. Now, the Note 9, we've got dual camera sensors on the rear. Dual 12 megapixel sensors, optical image stabilization, the ability to be able to switch the aperture. That's huge. That's a big deal to some people, right? That's a big deal. But then on the V40, we've got 5 camera lenses, ladies and gentlemen, 2 in the front and 3 on the back. Also optically image stabilized, 2 12 megapixel, 1 primary, 1 telephoto lens, and then a 16 megapixel super wide angle lens. And then on the front of the device, we've got an 8 megapixel primary camera and a 5 megapixel wide angle lens, just in case you want to take those wider selfies, get a little bit more in the portrait. I mean, so, and I know that's that's something that LG that's one of the main talking points and the selling points with this device. I mean, when people refer to the V40, they're like, man, the phone that has 5 cameras, that is pretty insane. You know what I mean? So can the Note 9 and its picture quality and its vivid color reproduction, would that be enough for you to make the choice for it over the LG V40? Or do you too feel as though the V40 is just offering just too much, in the camera department? Curious to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments. All right, now, battery life. Now, there's no reason why you guys shouldn't get stellar battery life from either one of these devices, but a lot of that is going to be solely dependent on how you use your devices. Now, on the Note 9, we've got a 4,000 milliamp hour non-removable battery. On the LG V40, we've got a 3,300 milliamp hour battery. Now, some people may consider that to be small. Okay. Mind you, the G7 had a 3000 milliamp hour battery, and I got fantastic battery life. So don't sleep on the battery life on the V40 just because it's smaller than the 4000 milliamps that's housed on the Note 9. Again, as I just mentioned, a lot of that's going to be solely dependent on how you use your device. I mean, if you're a heavy downloader, heavy streaming, heavy gaming, then yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to diminish the battery life quicker than most. If you're just more of a moderate or light user, kind of like myself, it's still going to take a lot of that to kill the battery off completely. But it's not going to last all day, or it's not going to give you that battery staying power that you think you may have if you're heavy downloading and stuff like that. Now, also be mindful that these phones have just about the same battery optimizations in the battery settings. I mean, so if you need to get that additional battery staying power, you know what I'm saying? If you need to get your Barry White on and have that staying power with the battery, you're going to have the ability to do that on both of these devices. I mean, so I'm not looking at, I mean, on paper, is the Note 9 a clear winner? Yes, because it's got 4000 as opposed to 3300. But I mean, in real world daily usage, is that going to matter much? No. It's all going to be solely dependent on how you use your device, how you optimize your device. And as I remind you guys over and over again in several videos that I've done, you can do your own battery optimizations without having to turn on any of the actual optimizations in the battery settings. Because mind you, when you turn on those optimizations, there's always going to be something that you're going to have to do without. Okay, the phone has to take away something, some features or some functions in order to be able to give you that battery sustainability that you're looking for. But if you do just little things like turning off Wi-Fi if you're not using Wi-Fi, turning off GPS if you don't need GPS to be on, turn off Bluetooth if you don't need Bluetooth on, turn off auto sync so that of all 6 or 7 of your email accounts, you're not getting notified of emails every 30 seconds because that stuff fries your battery. The fact that the phone is having to constantly check for new emails to push through to get you guys those push notifications, that fries your battery. So if you turn all those things off, then I feel like you'll notice significant battery sustainability just on your own, as opposed to not having to turn on the battery optimization features under the settings menu. Okay. 3300 milliamps here on the V40, 4000 milliamps here on the Note 9. Let me know what you guys think about that, and if you feel as though the Note 9 is going to give you just superior battery life over the V40. If you've got either one of these devices, what has your battery experience been? Leave that information down in the comments. I'd like to know how you guys' experiences have been. All right, y'all. Now, additional features. Now, this is a category that can definitely make or break your decision on either one of these devices. This is just going to be a matter of preference. All right. Now, as I mentioned, we got AMOLED screens on both of these devices, 2 top-notch displays. We've got Bluetooth 5.0 on both of these devices. We've got NFC on both of these devices. We've got wireless charging on both of these devices. We've got an IP68 water and dust resistant dust resistance for both of these devices. We have fingerprint sensors on both of these devices, both rear mounted on the back of the V40 right there, perfectly placed where it ought to be. And then if you swing around to the Note 9, the fingerprint sensor is right underneath the camera. Some people feel like it's a little bit high. Some people feel like if you've got small hands, you're going to need to wedge your hand up a little bit just to be able to reach it. You may have to do that if you do have small hands like myself, but nonetheless, the fingerprint sensor is much better than the implementation that we saw on the Note 8 with the cameras just all being right there side by side. How many of you accidentally smudged your camera lens because you were looking to hit the fingerprint sensor and you touched your camera lens? Well, you don't have to worry about that so much on the Note 9 here. All right. We do have facial recognition on both of these devices. Now, I understand for the Note 9, things get a tad bit more complex. They want to make it a little bit more secure. So it's a combination of scanning your irises, scanning your retinas, and looking at scanning your face as well to be able to unlock your device. And what that's going to do is that's going to stop anybody from just holding a picture or a video with your face in it up to your phone and having the ability to unlock it. So things are much more secure. Now, the LG, although it has facial recognition, it has another feature. Let me try to find that real quick. Okay, so on the V40, we've got what's called advanced face recognition. And that is make it harder to unlock with an image or video. This may slow down the face recognition. So if you turn that on, then facial recognition won't be as lightning quick as it is. What am I talking about? And I also like the fact that you do have that double tap on and off feature. You do not have that on the Galaxy Note 9. You have to always press the power button, which is on the side. I mean, so if you want to just double tap your device to get the screen to come on, you have that with the LG. If you want to double tap to lock the screen, you have that with the LG. You don't have that luxury on the Galaxy Note 9. Now, the LG, you just simply hold up the device, and it unlocks just like that. You don't have to press anything. It's not one of those things where it unlocks and then you have to swipe up on the screen or swipe to the side or something. Now, you can set it to do that if you want to do that, if you don't want the screen just to pop open right then and there. But if you do just want to just be able to just hold the phone up to your face and it unlock, as I just demonstrated for the second time, you do have that option. But again, if you want to complicate things for people that may be trying to snoop around in your device and you don't want them to, then you can just turn on advanced face recognition. It's not going to happen as fast as you just saw it, but it will happen. Okay, so here, let's demonstrate that real quick. So I just turn it on, turn off the screen, hold up the screen to my face. Okay, let's see, the camera's in front of my face. So let's see, let's try that again. Okay, so take a second or two longer with having that on. But I mean, is that really a big deal? To me, no, it's not. I mean, I'd much rather have my phone completely secure as opposed to it be compromised or you know, somebody be able to trick the system by holding up a photo or a video and get into my phone and have access to all of my personal information or anything like that. And so I'd say, you know, the security features for both of these devices are just about the same. I mean, so again, you do have fingerprint sensors, you do have facial recognition, you do have complicated facial recognition on both of these devices to keep people out of your device. So ladies and gentlemen, here's some of the things that these are where these two devices differ as far as the features. The Note 9, we've got a dual AKG tuned stereo speaker system. We've got a speaker here in the earpiece and another bottom firing speaker that sound excellent. Now, I think that the dual speaker, one of the dual speaker champions is the iPhone. Obviously, the Google Pixel 3 and the 3 XL, the Razer phone and the Razer phone 2, the Red Hydrogen 1. I know people slam those dual speakers, but damn it, them speakers sound really, really good. Now, in comparison to something like the iPhone sounds much better. But again, as I've told people before, Apple, they've been at this for a little while. I mean, so I feel like if Red has been making phones for as long as Apple, then I'm sure those dual speakers will sound just as good as the ones on the iPhone. But the fact that there is dual stereo speakers on the Red, considering it's their first go-round, hey, I got to tip the hat to them. And those speakers sound really good, in my personal opinion. Now, the V40 does not have dual stereo speakers, but we do have that boombox speaker. And we saw that technology introduced in the LG G7, where you have the ability to place the phone on like a hollow box or something like that, and it just completely takes the sound to a whole nother level. Which one sounds better? I mean, I would always prefer the dual speaker route, but the boombox speaker here, and it's been improved just slightly over the G7, it sounds really good as well. Me personally, I would always prefer the dual stereo speakers, but again, I'm Bluetooth everything, so I don't sit there and listen to music on my phone. I'm either connected to a Bluetooth device, whether it be connected to my car, connected to my soundbar with the subwoofer in my house, or just my Bluetooth headset. I do listen to music in those as well, just to kind of, you know, have an ear, you know, listening to music and then have an other ear so I can hear things that are going on around me. Again, you don't want to be the type that's just buried, with music in both ears and you can't hear what's going on in your surroundings and find yourself in a jam that you don't want to be in. So you definitely want to be aware of your surroundings. But I want to test that because I'm curious to know what you guys think, and I'm going to do my absolute best to try to get precise sound quality through the image of this phone in which I'm recording with. So hold tight. Let me cue up some music. All right, y'all. So I got some copyright-free music queued up here Note 9 will go first, and then we'll go with the LG V40. Now, I've got a hollow box behind me because where the magic supposedly happens with this boombox speaker with the V40 is it's already loud and it sounds pretty crisp and clear. And it sounds bassy as well with that bottom firing boombox speaker. But the magic happens when you set it on top of a hollow box, and it's supposed to increase the sound dramatically. So let's see if we can capture that effect on camera here. Now we'll start off with the Galaxy Note 9. Now mind you, we have two stereo AKG tuned speakers, one here in the ear receiver and another one bottom firing. Okay, so let's start off with that. The volume has been turned up on both devices. Oh, bumpy cam, my bad. Sounds nice and clear. Okay, let them hi-hats kick in. Okay, so those are the dual AKG tuned speakers on the Note 9. Now those sound really good. All right, so now here we're gonna move on over to the V40 here. All right, remember, one bottom firing boombox speaker. Can it match the sound that we just heard come from the Note 9? You guys let me know what you think. All right, let's go. Sounds really good considering that it's one speaker. I'm gonna set it on the box. Whoa. Oh my goodness. That is a significant difference. As far as the bass, the clarity. That has bigger sound than the Note 9 when it's on this box, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa. All right, well, let's get the box out of here. Yeah. I can definitely say that the sound, that boombox speaker has been enhanced over the G7, because although the G7 sounded good, it did not sound that good. That is a very impressive sounding speaker, especially when you set it on that hollow box. And I know that it's something about the vibrations and things, you know, that LG was talking about. I mean, I don't really have all the ins and outs as to how the technology works. I just know how it sounds. And so hopefully I was able to capture that on this video for you guys that may have been curious about the sound quality between both of these devices. Again, I don't really think you can go wrong with either one of them. But clearly, the one that's louder and clearer, I'd have to give it to the V40, which is very strange because it has one speaker as opposed to the two that is on the Note 9. Now, again, I mean, it sounded good. It sounded on par with what the Note 9 was doing off of the box. But then when you set it on top of the box, or just something hollow, then that's really when the sound just takes off. And that's when I noticed it just superseded the Note 9 in my personal opinion, which is crazy to me. But that's what it is. Another thing, we do have the ability to change the screen resolution, and we're seeing that's actually starting to become standardized. That's becoming to be a more common thing in a lot of the flagship devices, especially if it has a 4K display, or not a 4K display, but a Quad HD display or an AMOLED display like both of these devices do have. You do have the ability to go from Quad HD to 1080p down to 720p, and that's gonna save battery life as well. I mean, so if you're not one of those types that feels like you always need your phone to be on the Quad HD setting, and I understand, I mean, that's what's gonna give you the most crystal clear, sharpest, imagery, when it comes to your screen and when you're looking at it. But to me, it's kind of hard to decipher between Quad HD and 1080p. And I'm not like pixel peeping like that. I'm not like holding the phone up to my face, just looking to see, these little differences in the detail. It doesn't matter to me that much. You know what I mean? So I've got both of the devices here scaled down to 1080p. Now the V40 comes by default at 1080p, but under the settings, you can scale that up to Quad HD if that's what you want to do, or you can scale it down to 720 if that's what you want to do as well. Now the Note 9 out of the box, it comes on Quad HD because again, you got that big 6.4-inch Super AMOLED Infinity display, and so Samsung, they know that one of the main selling points for their devices is the screen quality. I mean, there's not too much screen technology out here that's getting with these AMOLED displays. They're the best on planet Earth. Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody knows of a better screen, then man, drop the link in the comments, man, so I can take a look at exactly what you're looking at. So it comes on Quad HD out the box. You can scale it down to 1080p, or you can scale it down to 720. That's going to help save battery life. Now, some of you cats out there that like to rock it on Quad HD, rock it on maximum brightness, then hey, you go ahead and rock out. Just know that your battery's going to be compromised. Just keep a charger with you or a juice pack or something like that, because you will diminish your battery faster. Now, speaking of brightness, LG, they listened. All these years, ladies and gentlemen, of people talking all that trash about, oh man, I mean, their displays are just so dim, and they're not as bright as the iPhones. They're not as bright as the Samsungs. People complaining about viewing angles. That should, check my choice of words, I said it should no longer at this frame of the game be anything to talk about, because the LG V40 gets up to 1,000 nits. Okay, so if you're ever having any trouble with viewing angles, you just scroll down to your little brightness indicator right there. See the little black button on the left? The phone's at 50% right now. All you do is tap that. Oh, well, I've got the what's this little thing on? Just for the sake of I've got comfort view on for the sake of the video, because it kind of gives the video that yellowish tint to it so that it doesn't mess with the camera with the bright screens. But if you enable that without the camera view on, then you're gonna 1,000 nits. So you shouldn't have any problems viewing this phone under any kind of circumstances, whether it be in direct light, sunlight, dark environments, whatever. You are going to be able to see this device. LG made sure of that. And we saw the first implementation of that on the LG G7, and it's good to see it here on the LG V40 as well. So all that talk about people, oh, LG screens are dim and they just can't get with the Samsung devices, they're way brighter. Well, that's a thing in the past. Okay, so we complained about it, and LG listened, and they fixed it. All right. Another thing, ladies and gentlemen, both of these devices do have 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks. We have one on the Note 9, we have one on the LG V40. But there is a significant difference between the one that is on the LG V40 versus the one that is on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. What is that? The doggone 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC with DTS:X surround sound to complement the full range of customization ability to make the music sound exactly how you want it. I'm not just talking about some presets that you can choose from, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking picture your Picture Pro Mode. Now, Pro Mode gives you just full manual control. Adjust the shutter speed, the brightness, the different color temperatures, all that kind of thing. Imagine having the ability to have like a Pro Mode with your audio, to where you get complete command control, not just some presets that you can choose from that provide different sounds. Okay, that's what you're getting on the LG V40, because it's got that 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC in the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. The Samsung Galaxy Note 9 does not. So any headphones that you may have, no matter how inexpensive, mid-range, or expensive, the V40 is going to upscale anything that you plug into the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and it's going to make it sound, it's going to make a pair of cheap headphones sound like some expensive headphones. Okay, now the Note 9, it comes with some AKG tuned earbuds, which they do sound nice. Okay, they sound nice, but if you take those same AKG headphones and plug them into the LG V40, the V40 upscales and maximizes the potential of those headphones, something that the Note 9 does not do. Okay, and it's going to increase your listening experience to music in a major way. So those of you that haven't quite converted over to Bluetooth and you still like to connect through a wire, and it seems like, let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack is a last of a dying breed technology. Okay, it seems like LG and Samsung are the only two companies, the only two OEMs that still feature the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, because everything is converting over to either Type-C or wireless. And I've made that conversion. I'm Bluetooth everything. So the headphone jack on either one of these devices would not make or break my ability to get one of these phones if it came down to it. But a lot of you who still like to plug in and listen to headphones, who are music enthusiasts, this is important to you. Okay, this is important. This is big time important to you. But just know that there is a headphone jack on both of these devices, but you're going to be able to maximize your listening experience if you have the 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC that is on the LG V40. It is not on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like to plug in, be mindful of that. We do also have an FM radio on both the LG V40 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Now, here is a, depending on who you ask, a significant difference in the Note 9 and the V40. If we take the Note 9 and tilt it up, okay, and we just take our finger and press in, then what pops out is the S Pen, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is what sets the Note 9 apart from a lot of other Android devices that are really good. Okay? Now, I know that LG with the V series, the V stands for video, and there's a lot of video implementations and cinematography things that you can utilize on this phone. And so if you are a content creator in the respect of videography and photography, then the V40 is definitely the phone that you're going to want to get. But if you're just a creator overall, if you're some type of artist, if you like to sketch, if you're a business person, of some sort, and you want a device that's going to come with a stylus and give you the ability to take care of pretty much all your business that you may need, or all the business that you can possibly take care of on a smartphone, and you want to do it all while having access to a stylus pen that works as well as the S Pen here on the Note 9, then this, ladies and gentlemen, is where the Note 9 gets completely set apart from the LG V40 and a lot of other Android and Apple devices that are out there. The only other device that I know that comes with the stylus is the LG Stylo 4 and the Stylo 4 Plus. And I can't even really add those to the conversation when you're talking about the Note 9, because the Note 9 is being marketed as a powerhouse. It is a beast. It's the Note, for crying out loud. Okay, you can't say the Note 9 and the LG Stylo 4 in the same sentence, because the LG Stylo 4, although it is a good device, it is a budget device. You're talking about a device that costs $175, if not less. Now, that's a great value. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. I wish that the spec sheet was a little bit higher, but I know that that would probably drive up the cost a little more. But nonetheless, what you're able to do with the S Pen, you're not able to do with the little stylus pen that comes on the Stylo 4 and the Stylo 4 Plus. Okay, so let's just get that clear. Okay, but kudos to LG for making a device that comes with the stylus that's a lot more budget friendly. So for the people that just want to utilize basic features and functions with the stylus pen, then hey, they can go with the Stylo 4 and they'll be just fine. And they've got a stylus to do whatever they want to do, whether it be navigating back and forth through the phone or just using it to browse the web, you know, just anything like that. Now, the fact that the S Pen is now Bluetooth enabled, the fact that I can open up the camera app and I can just take a selfie. You guys see this just by pressing the button. On the pen. Or, you know what I mean, if I'm just, you know, got a group selfie going on and I want to take a shot, but I want to be in the shot as well, and I want like my whole frame in the shot, then having something like this, ladies and gentlemen, where you can control that type of stuff is unreal. Your media, if you're listening to music, having the ability to fast forward the track or rewind to the previous track, all with the pen and not having to touch your phone, if that's something that you care about, then hey, the Note 9 is definitely for you. Now, if you don't care about such a thing, LG does have, under the essential tools, something called Quick Memo. And what Quick Memo does is it gives you the ability to create a memo, and if you want to write, then you can just doodle with your finger. You can write, you can hit the little eraser, and you can erase everything that you just did. Go back to the pen. Pristine tech. Now, is that going to be as beautiful as the S Pen? And you can't use the S Pen on the V40. I thought I'd, you know, try to be slick with that, but that's not the case. For some people that just want to have the ability to just be able to write with their finger, whether it be, you know, taking notes or something like that, and they're not really too concerned with something like the S Pen or a stylus, then I mean, hey, okay, you got the Quick Memo setting. That is a standard feature on the LG V40, and you can write with your finger, or you can use text, and, you know, to bring up the keyboard to take your notes down and save them in your gallery or pretty much wherever you want to save them, you know, in your files on your device. But if you want the S Pen, ladies and gentlemen, and everything that it entails, then the Note 9 is definitely going to be the device for you. This thing, ladies and gentlemen, is a matter of preference. Now, I do use the S Pen, but do I use it often enough for it to be a determining factor as to whether or not I would buy the Note 9? Again, it just depends on who you ask. I mean, I bought the Note 9 because it's a cool device. I wanted to feature it on the channel for you guys. And, you know, I thought it would be cool to have the S Pen because I do use it. You know, I'm getting a little older. You know, I'm always coming across situations where I need to take notes to try to remember something. You know, I'm not saying that I'm losing my mind, but I feel like, you know, if I have the ability to jot it down real quick, and I don't like a lot of clutter. I'm pretty paperless with everything, and so if I can just write it down on my phone and just keep it in my notes on my phone as opposed to having paper scattered all over the place, then I would much rather do that. And so for me, the S Pen comes in handy. But like I said, I rarely ever use my Note 9, and so obviously I'm getting by with a lot of other devices that do not have a stylus that comes within it. So it's one of those things to where if I have it, I'll use it. But if I don't have it, it's not really a big deal because I have another note-taking application that I can just type in on my notes, save it, and whenever I need to revert to it, it's there for me. Okay, and I also have that app on my Note 9 here as well. So, sometimes I'll use my S Pen, other times I'll just refer to my Note app. You know what I mean? So again, it's just a matter of preference, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that those are some of the significant differences, between these two monster devices. I feel like LG has definitely closed the gap between all this talk about how Samsung and Apple is better. We do have always on display on both of these devices, and so that definitely comes in handy. Again, as I mentioned, the double tap feature to be able to shut the device off or put it in sleep mode, as opposed to having to hit the power button or the home button for the Note 9. Again, double tap to open the screen, and then you just saw the facial recognition just opens up the device. If you double tap the Note, you can't do that. Okay, so you have to physically press that button, and it's trying to read my face, but I'm behind the camera. Okay, well, it's just not going to do it because I'm behind the camera, but you get the point. And so, yeah, once it reads my face, then it will just pop open. All right. So, whoa, bumpy cam. My bad, y'all. Me personally, I feel like if I had to choose one out of these two devices, I feel like I'm going to go with, drum roll, I'm going with the LG V40. Okay, I'm a huge fan of LG devices. I can't stand the fact that they've been slept on for as long as they have been, or they haven't really gotten the recognition that I feel as though they deserve. They make some really good top quality devices that can go toe to toe with the best of them. Okay, I love the ability to be able to customize my transitions. LG gives us that ability. The Samsung does not. I love that when you go into the settings, as opposed to the Samsung, you've just got that conventional list, although it looks a little bit different, on Oreo here. I love the ability to be able to switch it to that tab view, and everything that I want in my settings is categorized as I would like it to be on the LG. I'm a huge fan of the camera system on the LG. I like the 5 cameras. I'm a huge fan of the zoom capabilities and all of the cinematography and photography features and functions, that come on the V40, more so than what's being offered on the Note 9. That boombox speaker, I'm a fan of that. But again, I'm not really tripping too much over dual speakers because I don't listen to music on my devices. You know what I mean? So that's not really a big deal. But again, just the demonstration that I showed you guys after I put the LG V40 on that box and just saw how the sound just kind of took off, superseding a phone that has dual speakers, that was impressive. That was impressive for me. And so, like I said, I hope that I was able to captivate that effect for you guys. I like the notch. I'm a fan of the notch, and I like the way that it looks. I think that it looks really cool. POLED display, 6 gigs of RAM, and so now you can say, that can no longer be an excuse. You can no longer sit there and say, oh, well, the Samsung's going to perform a little better, because, it's got 2 additional gigabytes of RAM. Gaming, all that type of stuff, you're going to be able to do all that stuff now. You could do it before on the G7 that has 4 gigabytes of RAM. But some people would say, oh, well, the device would start to get a little hot, or things would slow down a little bit over a course of time, and just how those 2 additional gigabytes of RAM would pay dividends with that type of thing, or multitasking. Well, that can no longer be a part of the conversation now, because the V40 now has 6 gigs of RAM to match the gigabyte of RAM that we have on the Note 9 here. So you can't really, fuss about that anymore. So again, it just comes down to preference. All right, so a couple of other nice little features that both of these phones possess. Now on the Note 9, we have the Edge display technology. And so as you see, You see there's that little bar right there that's on the right side, and you know the edges of the screen on the Note 9 just bleed over onto the right and the left side. I mean, giving it a really cool look and feel. So if I swipe to the right, what that does is it brings up the edge display, and with the edge display you can set it up to, you know, give yourself updates on your scores. And as you can see, you know, my team, you know, just reminded me that we just got our asses handed to us 48-7 by the Saints yesterday. But at least my hometown team, the Seahawks, you know, they beat Green Bay last Thursday night, so that's solid. So that's the sports edge. But then we have apps edge, and so, you know, if a lot of these applications that you want to get to real quick, if you don't want to just go into the phone and have to scroll, you know, through all of your apps list, you can save in this category all the applications that you use the most. And so rather than having to dive deep into the bowels of your phone, you can just access all of your most used applications right here. Okay, then you got People Edge, and so some of your most utilized contacts. If you want to contact these individuals, whomever they may be, but you don't want to scroll all the way through your contacts list, then you can just go to People Edge and you can set it up to where whichever one of these individuals you want to call, you just hit that name and it'll bring up a little call or message indication, and you can either call or message that person. Okay, so that's a pretty useful feature for the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, and you can find that also, I believe, on the S8 or on the S9 and the S9 Plus, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the V40 has always been known from having that little secondary screen, and when it first came out, you had a little screen at the top that kind of acted as a second little screen, and you could do some little cool things with that as well, but they've kind of done away with that. But what they've given us now in substitution for that is what's called a floating dock. And so you guys can see to the right there of Michael Myers' mask that there's a little indicator, little icon right there, and then when you hit that, then it slides out some quick toggle applications that you can get to very briefly. First one being your memos, if you want to take a quick memo. Okay, you get out of that. Second one is calendar. So if you want to schedule an event really quickly, then you can do that. The third one is the camera. What's up, y'all? Okay, we'll get out of that. And the fourth one is settings, and this just takes you to your settings real quick, where you can do some quick toggles and you can, you know, customize the phone to your liking. But then if we go ahead and scroll to the right, then we have some other little settings as well. And so another scroll to the right, we can control our music. Or I'm sorry, scroll to the left. So I'm scrolling to the left, my bad, y'all. But then here also, kind of like what we saw on the Samsung device, if we want to just quick, access individuals in which we talk to the most, we can set those names up right here. And so if I want to call the individual whose first name starts with the D, then I just hit that, and that brings me to my wife. All right. My son, I just click on his name, it brings his name up, and it gives me the option to call or send him a quick message. My mom's, same thing. And so just that's what that looks like right there. So you can see the name, phone icon, message icon, and you can set up to 5 people. So you don't have to go into your phone, or this little icon right here to dial and bring up all your recents and all that. You don't have to go through all that. Okay, so this is a quick and convenient way to access people, access certain applications. Now, the thing is, I wish that you can customize these apps right here. And I think that there is a way that you can do that. I just haven't quite figured that out just yet. So make sure you stay tuned for the full pristine review. And I have more information on how to toggle that and customize it as well, if we can do so. But for now, that's what we've got. Pretty useful feature, kind of similar to what we see on the Samsung device. Not as polished, obviously. I like the fact that on the Samsung device, on the Apps Edge, you're able to see like the scores for the game and stuff like that. And you do have much more applications that you can save if you want to get into to them really quickly, as opposed to going into all of your applications. Now, another thing that I think is really neat that both of these devices do, and I know that this was something that was exclusive to Samsung, but LG was just like, okay, we got to start sharpening up on the little things, that make the Samsung experience, that much better. And I'm all about the little things. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to dim the lights really quickly, and I'm going to show you something. Now, on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, this is a little feature called edge lighting. And what that is whenever you get some type of notification or a text message while the screen is locked, the outside of the screen will blink a certain color, and you can change this. There's several different color options in which you can choose. Of course, you guys already know my favorite color combination is black and red. So the black screen, I'm gonna have the exterior of the display blinking red when I get a notification. Check this out. And you could also do the same thing now on the LG V40. So this is a new feature that they've implemented on the V40, and I'll show you that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and dim the lights. Y'all stick with me, and I'm gonna do my best to show you this real quick. All right, hold up. Okay, so now in order for me to do this, y'all, I gotta lock both the screens. All right, so I'm gonna lock the screen on the V30 or the V40, I mean, and I'm going to lock the screen on the Note 9. And if you were questioning whether or not these phones did have always on display, as I did mention earlier in the video, there's your proof. We got always on display right there for the V40, always on display for the Note 9. And these are customizable. I mean, so on the V40 and the Note 9, there's several different always on displays that you can choose from to set the time in your notifications to look, how you want them to look. Okay, so now it's going to get real dark, but just stay with me, okay? Sweetheart, if you can hit the light for me. Okay, so peep this, ladies and gentlemen. So if you see the Note 9, which is the one that's on the right, I'm going to send myself a text message and watch what happens. Whoa. Whoa. Did you see that, ladies and gentlemen? So that's called edge lighting. And so again, that's just something that you can turn on if your phone is on silent for whatever reason. If you're in a meeting or something, what I'm saying? I mean, those of y'all living that creep life, what I'm saying? If you laying next to your gal, what I'm saying? You got your ringer turned off, but you do want to be notified that you got a notification coming in, but you don't want the phone to make no noise, then hey, you can just turn on your edge lighting. The phone is going to blink, indicating that you've got a message, and then, you can, slide up out of bed, what I'm saying? Run to the bathroom like you got to use it, check your message, what I'm saying? Be honey dripping with your little side piece, what I'm saying? Of course, those of y'all that's living that creep life, what I'm saying? My wife is looking at me crazy, y'all, what I'm saying? She gonna try to take my head off, so let me stop. Okay, now, darling, if you could send a message to the V40. Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, you see that? We got edge lighting on the V40. All right, now, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the lights back on. Hold up. All right, y'all, so got the lights back on, and so those are just a couple of little neat little features that I find to be very, very, very useful that now both of these devices possess. That once was something that only Samsung did, and I thought that was a really cool feature. To me, it's all about the small stuff, just having the ability to customize and tweak little things to kind of do stuff like that you don't really see too much on other devices. I mean, it just makes the experience that much better. Now, the fact that LG has implemented something similar, to me, that is dope, because I've always thought that feature on the Samsung devices was really, really, really cool. So let me know what you guys think about that. Me personally, I prefer to have the V40 over the Note 9. What do you guys think? If you guys had the choice to choose between one of these devices, which one would you choose and why? Let me know that down below in the comments. I'm curious to know. All right. I hope this video was informative. I understand it may have been a little bit lengthy, but hey, I'm just trying to get you guys the most details as possible to help you make an informed decision on what your next smartphone purchase may be. So you already know, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to expose yourself to tons of more videos that I've done like this one. definitely keep it locked because I've got so much more content to come. Be sure to hit that notification bell so that every time my videos go live, you can get notified and be one of the first one to view the content, and drop your questions or comments in the comment section and let me know what you thought about what you saw. I'll do my absolute best to accommodate you guys in future videos if there's anything that I missed that you guys want me to cover. Okay? So you guys already know, man. Please stay safe, get spiritually fit. We're definitely living in the last days. God is always ready to start over, no matter where you are in your life. He will meet you where you are, no matter how down in the dumps you may be, no matter how up in life you may be. Okay? Get Christ in your life because you just never know. You never know if death were to creep around some unsuspecting corner, where is your soul going to rest for eternity? Get spiritually fit and keep it pristine in every aspect of your lives. I'll catch you guys in the next video. All right? All right. Peace.